Oh yeah, oh yeah. Back to the Solomon Project. Just couldn't stay away. Why not? Because this is where you're reminded that it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. I'm your host, Richard Burns, and we're back.
Butter.
Let's see something. This is something impotent because I'm subbed to a channel and it's an amazing channel and it's related to how people respond. Let me just find it quickly so I can post it up here. Cooking Up Conversations. And on the channel, there's a lot of talk about being gaslit and how to deal with being gaslit. It's very important for all those who plan on participating in the stock market to understand what gaslighting is and how it operates. Because the world of finance is loaded with people who will do just that. Look at this beautiful view, folks. I wanted to start the recording earlier, but I was fumbling around. I couldn't get the view that I wanted you guys to see. This is Arizona, by the way. If you're able to and you can expand the view, you can see the cactus over here on the side. Up top over here on the left there's a large cactus, but there's cactus everywhere here. This is desert. Even though you see shrubs and stuff like that, some vegetation, this is still desert. Going back to Cooking Up Conversations, I highly recommend that you sub to the channel and see as much of the footage that she prepares as you can. Also, shout out to the professor, Tara Helms. October, that's the expected time when the soaps that she sells will be available. I'm telling you right now, my wife is a finicky person. She's very picky. She tried the professor's soap, and that's all she wrote. We will now be buying the professor's soap. As soon as it comes up in October, it's going to be some automatic purchasing going on because my wife absolutely fell in love with it. Shout out to the All Bomb lady. You'll find in the description below links to her channel as well as the professor's channel. And the All Bomb lady's specialty is pain relief. In her lotions and her potions. Shout out to those two entrepreneurial ladies and their products. Excellent products, by the way. So you want to be participating in the stock market. You want to become an investor. The two main ingredients. Let's not forget what the two main ingredients are. Discipline and consistency. Discipline and consistency. You don't want to get caught up in all the gaslighting. You don't want to get caught up in cult of personalities. You don't want to rush. So take your time. You can get involved without having to learn everything there is to know all in one shot in a small period of time. Awesome. I spoke about the 401k and the type of, because again, there was a narrative associated with the changes coming in with the 401k that was exaggerated, claiming that this administration wanted to take the money from your 401k. That's not the case. What is the case is that people will have access to products in their 401k that are of much higher risk than what the 401k would allow for. And you will have the ability to tap into private equity firms. Now, engaging with private equity firms can be very risky, and private equity firms also have a history of destroying companies. They invest in a company, they borrow off the company's assets, make changes, get the company, if it's private, they get them prepared and get them on the stock market, and in that way they get to sell off their shares, get their money out, and leave the company with some crazy debts. It's just one of many things that private equity companies do. So you'll have access to private equity companies or private equity investing. You'll have access to crypto funds, a bunch of stuff that the 401k was not set up for. It just wasn't. It wasn't set up that way. And Wall Street is not very happy with this change because the 401k model was able to make it possible for the firms that make it available for companies to have these retirement accounts make money from the fees associated with managing the accounts within the 401k. So, bypassing the asset managers and having direct access to crypto and private equity and a couple of other things. Yeah, Wall Street's not really down with that. So it's going to be interesting. This hasn't gone through completely yet, but it's going to be interesting how all this transpires and whether or not we actually get those changes to either occur completely or partially. Let's see what happens. But that's the deal. The narrative that's being used is deceiving, to say the least. So now look at this landscape. I'm about to make a turn up here. And we're headed toward Colorado. We're headed toward Aurora, Colorado. I won't be able to capture the more interesting landscapes today, but tomorrow, prior to Whip It Out Wednesday, I should be posting the landscape through Colorado. If I'm not mistaken, I might be going through I-70, And the highest point on I-70 is roughly an 11,200 foot elevation inside a tunnel on a mountain peak. Let's see if I can capture that moment tomorrow. A lot of noise went on this week. Trump met with Putin in Alaska. The consensus is that the meeting didn't yield anything of great significance, with the exception of Putin manipulating Trump into making changes for the midterm elections, where Trump is going to push for paper ballots and what else? The elimination of machines for voting. I recognize Trump as being a master marketer. He is absolutely phenomenal at marketing. I cannot take that away from him. However, the person he met up with, which is Putin is a master manipulator. And that's a different skill set. And too often, Trump is criticized for expressing some type of liking to Putin. And some people express concern over that because Putin is not a friend of the United States. He's an adversary. And you just can't let your guard down. Another president that was heavily criticized for letting his guard down with Russians were at that time the Soviets, it was the Soviet Union, was President Kennedy. President Kennedy was heavily criticized for the meeting he had with the Soviet Union leader. And the consensus was that Kennedy looked weak. Kennedy looked weak, and the Soviets rolled all over him. The same opinion has been expressed between Trump and Putin. The same thing. Now, this concern has been on both sides of the aisle, both on the Democratic and Republican side of the aisle. The master marketer meeting up with the master manipulator. And then several European countries came along with Zelensky from Ukraine and had a meeting with Trump at the White House, which went very differently from the time that Zelensky was at the White House by himself, and between Trump and J.D. Vance, they tore into Zelensky viciously. I'm paying close attention to this meeting because of two historians that I follow that have been paying very close attention to the war in Ukraine and give detailed accounts of what's been going on. Okay, you see the two trucks here on the shoulder. I moved over right? Because by law, I'm supposed to. I had to wait for a car on the left lane to get past so that I can move over. So these two historians I find more credible than a lot of other content creators that are focused on the war on Ukraine. And they said something that had me concerned. One thing is, depending on how this meeting ends, this could encourage the European nations to, again, I have to move over. This could encourage the European nations to increase their spending on their own defense and less dependence on the U.S. Understand that there are economic ramifications as a result of that. As it stands now, our agriculture is taking a hit. A $40 billion hit. Small farms are getting wiped out left and right. Small farms are getting wiped out. Transactional contracts are being established when it comes to farming goods between Canada and other nations. Completely cutting out U.S. farmers. As a result of the trade wars, as a result of the tariffs. So let's see how this all transpires. Let's see if a lot of the shenanigans end and we start getting back on track. Because remember, the Trump administration has been criticizing and pushing for the Fed to lower interest rates, which is something that you do. I want to remind you guys, that's something that you do when the economy is not doing well and you want to stimulate the economy. You lower interest rates. But that's not the claim. The Trump administration is claiming that the economy is doing very well, but yet they want interest rates to go down. Contradictory. Let's see what happens. Anyway, I just wanted to check in with you guys and show you this landscape here. I-17 in Arizona. And I'm headed to Colorado. Hopefully I'll have more impressive scenery for you guys to watch in the next video. Guys, stay fresh. Keep it profitable. And Kitty, come get these people.
Arabam Dacia, seviyorum çift kalem aça. Göremedi kimseden fayda. İşler